Hello everyone and welcome back to Just Finish Coding. I'm Sriram and this video is part 2 of our Geometry Dash game which we're making on Scratch 3. Now in part 1 I taught you how to add in the scrolling background, and in this video what we'll do is add in the scrolling flows. So let's get right into it. I'm going to click on the flow sprite and I'm going to drag it up first right after the background so that it's more convenient. So now I'm going to head over to the background once again and I'm going to drag and drop this go to coordinates into the flow sprite as well, since they are pretty similar. Now there is a pretty important difference, and that is we don't even need the entire size change because the flows are so small that it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to leave it like this, just have one go to coordinates, and that's all you'll need for the block itself. So now we can get into initializing the clones and also making sure that when we do receive the tick message, the clones are going to the correct position. So head over to events and grab a when I receive init, and let's start this off by deleting all the clones that exist. So grab a repeat, change that to be 1 and just say delete this clone. Alright, and after this what we need to do is make sure we hide the sprite, because remember that this is the sprite itself, and we'll probably be showing the clones in case this go to coordinates comes true, and otherwise we can just hide this anyway. So first of all, let's switch them to the correct costume. So switch costume to first we're going to switch it to the purple floor, and we'll be having 6 clones this way. Now each clone is going to have a different X and Y starting position, and those positions are going to change throughout. Now it's important to note that the X and Y positions do not have to be on this grid. They could be way after, since we're going to be scrolling all along. So let me now create 2 variables, both for this sprite only. The first one is X, the second one is Y, and you can also create a third one called clone, which serves the same purpose as the one which did in our background sprite. So now let's hide those 3 variables. We don't really need them to be shown. And let's set X to be at the beginning, set X to be 0. So set X to 0. And after this, let us set Y to negative 140. So that's going to be our Y for the flows. It's going to be right at the bottom here. Now we can also set the clone variable to yes. Maybe we'll do that first before we set the X and Y, but setting up the variables in a particular order doesn't really matter. It only matters after we start creating the clones, which we're going to do right now. So we'll be having 6 different one of these clones in our entire course. So you'll start to see how this works probably in the next video, where we'll show the obstacles as well. But anyway, just continue what I'm doing for now. So repeat 6, and each and every time we'll create a clone of ourselves, and then we will simply change X by 480. So now all our Y's are going to be constant since they're going to be at the bottom. But when we are setting up our X's, they're going to keep changing because, imagine this, you have a screen here, and once you're scrolling past this and everything is moving to the left, you start to see, at the end of this particular point here, at the end of the screen, we'd basically want a new flow to appear. So that's why we change it by the total length of the screen in this case, or width, whichever way you want to take it. But that's going to be negative 240 and 240, which is totally 480 in absolute terms. So we change X by 480 right here, and after this we would have to go on to the second type of clones. So this is just the first type, which is the purple floor, and then our obstacle course changes to become the flying floor. And in this case, what we need to do is, first of all, change X by 480 once again. And this may surprise you, why are we changing it twice by 480? And the reason is this. So first of all, remember that we've created 6 clones, and you can click on, I believe, the visible obstacles. And when you go ahead to, I'm sorry, not the visible obstacles, the platforms, or when you go ahead to number 6, okay, till here, we don't really have a floor. But in number 7, you can see that we've set up the flows here just so that it's more convenient, because we don't have these particular types of flows with this particular width and height. So it's just more convenient to have the flows within the platforms here. But from the 7th one on, once again, you can see we don't have any flows. and we can start creating the clones once again. So we change x by 480 once, and after that we will start creating the clones. I'm going to set y here to be negative 140. So set y to negative 140. There we go. And we can also start creating some new clones here with regard to, okay, not 140, I'm sorry, it's going to be 0. I got a bit confused with the clone things. So basically the flying floor is going to be right at the center of the stage, while all of this is going to be right at the bottom. So as far as the flying floor is concerned, all our clones are going to have the y position of 0. Okay, so here let's switch the costume. So switch costume to flying floor, and after this we will once again create a couple of clones. In this case, to make sure this works with our course, I'll create 3 different clones of ourselves, and each time I will change x by 480. Just like this, just the same way we did it for the previous one. And this time what I will do once again is making sure that we have now our final clones, which is going to be the pink floor. Okay, so switch costume to pink floor, and this time I will create 4 clones of ourselves. Now I'm also going to make sure we do the exact same thing before we switch the costume. So change x by 480, but this time I will set y to be negative 140, since we're basically back to creating clones of the floor and not the flying floor. So here we have 3 different clones, and after we're done with all of this, actually not 3, we need 4 different clones. And after we're done with all of this, what we can do is simply set the clone variable to no, because we wouldn't want the sprite to be doing the same stuff that the clones are doing. So set clone to no, and that should be pretty much all you need for your init. I might have made a couple of mistakes, but in case I did, I will correct them in the next video. What matters is that you have all the clones as of now. Alright, so now let's get into the ticks. So once again, I'm going to head over to events, grab a when I receive, but this time I will change it to when I receive tick. Now we'll start this off as usual with if clone is yes, and in this case we'll just have an if and not an if else, because there isn't really anything we need to do apart from this. So we will check if clone is equal to yes, and after this we can use the go to coordinates. Now before we type in the x and y values, it's very important to make a small change. So I'm going to head over to the stage here, and I'm going to start with a when I receive tick. So when we receive tick each time, what we need to do is to move this variable called scroll x to the basically we need to move it forward, but everything is going to move to the left because it moves to the right. You don't have to worry about why that works as of now, just make sure you add that in. So create a new variable, let's call this scroll x. So scroll x, and then you can click OK. Okay, and now you can set scroll x to be 0 at the beginning, and each time when we do receive a tick, I'm going to change scroll x by 8. The mechanism is going to be shifted into the player later on based on his x position, and that allows us to end the game, but as of now it's fine if you just have it here. This is just simpler to add on. Now let's head back to the flows. In this case, now we can use the scroll x variable. So you can just say go to coordinates and grab a minus from the operators. So you can say scroll x, I'm sorry, not scroll x, you can say x minus scroll x. And as far as the y position is concerned, we aren't really scrolling on the y axis. So you can just type in y right there. And that's pretty much it. The code will be expanded on later based on the background color, and sometimes you'll want to switch to a different colored flow, but don't worry about that. This is fine if you have it. So now let me hit the green flag, and once you do, you can start to see that we have a scrolling floor. Now if you wait until these starting flows go on, you'd start to see the flying floors as well, and things start to get pretty interesting with regard to the obstacle course. Now obviously the game is finite and it eventually will end, but you didn't see the end on the floors because the ending is going to be with the platforms, which you can see if you click on platform number 15. But all that is going to be for future videos, and I'm going to end this video right here. If you've enjoyed this video, please make sure you leave it a like, and also don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.